Hi, we're live on the kitchen garden plot, filming for the December issue, and we wanted to say a little bit about citing a new plot. So if you're new to allotment gardening, or you've already got a plot but you want to expand it, then we're just going to mention a little bit about things to look for, things to consider before you start digging up your lawn. So you can see we're on one of the plots we use for Kitchen Garden magazine. I've got a lot of it covered at the moment. It's the end of the season. It's covered over just to help protect it from the weather, which is always a good idea. Stops all the nutrients that you've been putting on, if you've been manuring or green manuring or whatever, just get them washed straight away. See, that's why we've got a lot of this covered, although some still got winter crops in it down the end there. So what to look out for? Well, if you've decided to dig a new allotment, whether it's in your garden or whether you've been on a waiting list and you're lucky enough to have been given an allotment, ideally it should be somewhere which gets plenty of sunshine. There are lots of veggies which will grow in shade, semi-shade, but most of them do like a bit of sun. So if you're thinking of things like tomatoes and peppers, that sort of thing, more Mediterranean crops, then the more sun the better. But green veggies, things like your salads, lettuces, that sort of thing, perfectly happy with a little bit of shade during the day. Not constant shade, but a little bit of shade is fine. After all, a lot of us just have to put the plot where we can. You know, if you've got a garden, there's probably only one or two spots where you could put it anyway, put your new plot. So you have to sort of put up with what you've got, but ideally sunshine. Bit of shelter, that's something we haven't got here on the plot, unfortunately. Ideally what we'd like to do is plant a nice hedge around the plots here, just to keep the wind down. If you're going to grow things like runner beans, any tall crops, sweet corn, that sort of thing, they do appreciate a bit of shelter, and that can be a fence, a hedge. It could be other taller crops. You can in fact use runner beans to shade lower growing crops, that sort of thing. Keep them away from the wind a little bit and protect them and keep them that much warmer. So a little bit of shelter if you can. If you've been given the choice of plots on an allotment, that means, you know, try and choose one in a nice sheltered spot, for example, if you've got the choice. The other thing to think about, of course, is soil. And again, most of us haven't really got a great deal of choice about that. If you're on an allotment site, you're kind of stuck with what you've got, really. Or in the garden, probably going to find that you've got the same conditions right the way through the garden, generally, unless it's a big plot, and you're just going to have to put up with what you've got. But again, the ideal situation, fairly fertile, free draining, not too many weeds, which does mean that probably initially you're going to have to, if you've been given a new plot on an allotment site, you're probably going to have some work to do to get rid of brambles and things, and that might take a year or two. But generally just free draining, fairly fertile. You can do a lot about the soil though. If you haven't been given the ideal soil in your garden or on an allotment, lots you can do by adding organic matter, and this is a perfect time of the year to do it. By adding well-rotted garden compost, well-rotted manure, old potting compost, anything like that with organic matter in it, adding it now helps to improve the soil. It will break down gradually over a period of months over the winter, and give up humus that it will have in it to help bind together your soil particles and improve the drainage of your soil, and also to add fertility to it too. So lots you can do. Once you've added your organic matter, you might like to do what we've done here again, cover the soil so that all the goodness isn't just washed straight through. Also, if you've been given an allotment plot, if you've say been on a waiting list or whatever and you've just been given a new plot and it has got weeds on it, don't think you have to dig it all up straight away and clear it all straight away, which is very hard work, especially if it hasn't been done for a few years. You can actually dig it in sections. So what you might choose to do is just cultivate a quarter of it, cover the rest of it like this with soil covering fabric to kill the remainder of the weeds, and gradually do it in sections like that. So that's a good way of getting started on a new plot. So I do hope you have a go. There's always room in every garden for a little bit of an allotment or a veg patch. You can even mix them in with your flowers, so you haven't got to have a specific plot if you've only got a small garden. But as I say, just to summarise then, so a place with a little bit of shelter, plenty of sun if you can, and your soil, probably stuck with what you've got, but you can always improve it with some organic matter, and this is the perfect time of year to do it.